Hello, welcome back to the Win Some Loose More 2 Loose Top 100. My name is Dieter and I'm joined again by my brother Rick, who has come to share his top 10 as well. We've done two so far. This is the third one. We're up to 80 to number 71. Now, I don't know how you feel about your list. I haven't played millions of games, just a few hundred. So there are clear kind of sections in my list that I'm like, yeah, these are good, and I know them, but they're not like, oh, I love these games yet. They're good. I really like them, and I either own them or enjoy playing them. I think now is where we're getting into the these are really good. Not quite the I love them, regardless of how good or bad they might be. But I keep looking at this list and going, these are some good games.
Yeah. There's a few in here that I've owned, and only one I think is still in my collection. And as I've said before, I've got quite a small collection just for space, keep it turning over quite fast. But certainly a number of these hung around for a little while.
Yeah, let's just jump straight in with number
Mhm.
80.
Great. So my number 80, it's had many different names, but the version I've played is Pyramid of Penguin.
Oh gosh.
Which is I think is it Brain Games who've they've repurposed it to fit into their ice cool universe.
That's right.
But what it is, it's a, I guess you call it a one versus many social deduction. Um, there's four, I think up to four people. It's been a while since I've played it. Who
Mhm.
are moving around trying to find treasure, and then one person, I think in the original was a mummy. You'd think it would be with
That's
a
right.
pyramid, but
Yeah.
it's the penguin. It's the queen penguin who's out to get them. And this all happens on the vertical. The board is vertical. You have and it's magnetic. And so the people who are treasure hunting on one side can move around their people to different places, and they can see where the penguin is, where the mummy is, but the penguin on their side can't see where the people are. But
Oh,
they
the
know
mummy penguin.
that's right.
Oh, for goodness sake.
There you go.
Sorry, I just got the pun. Never mind.
Penguin, yeah. It's very difficult to say as well. Penguin. There's
Queen.
a
Yeah.
G and a Q in it. But they can guess where they've been because they can see what treasure they picked up. And so they're just moving around trying to find out where they are. And they might capture them. And there's a wonderful, satisfying thing of when they capture, because it's a magnet, it suddenly jumps off the page and onto the other magnet, and oh, we've caught you. But if you're on the side that's not the penguin, you're just watching this ghostly figure move towards you, and you're like, please, please, you don't know where I am. You don't know where, oh, you've got me, or you've just walked right past me and you've no idea. So it's very silly, lots of fun. It's fine. It's fine in the ice cool world. I'd happily play it in any other format, but maybe slightly less scary, I suppose, for kids. Penguins
Yeah.
rather than mummies. But that's my number 80, Pyramid, my version of Penguin.
It didn't strike me as a universe that needed expanding.
No, it's
My
true.
ice call is so specific, so self-enclosed.
Yeah, these penguins, they go to high school, they avoid hall monitors, and then they go treasure hunting.
I mean, why not?
Why not?
It's
Yeah,
it's it's the
upgrading
Scooby
from
Gang.
fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 80 is the biggest Uwe Rosenberg game on my list.
Mm.
This is Caverna. This is just very good.
Mm.
It's one of those that I haven't played enough, which is why it's down here. But every time I have, it's been incredibly satisfying. The rules overhead isn't as steep as you think it would be. There's what he does well. Why something like Feast for Odin worries me is that there's 80 different places, and people say the choice is clearer than that. But with Caverna, you start with very few spaces. And as the rounds go on, you reveal more and more, or you build more into what you're doing.
Mm.
And any game in which you breed your workers, I just find a little bit funny. I've got two, because they're only discs as well in Uwe Rosenberg games. It's the
Do they come
least.
out as smaller meeples?
Is it a smaller disc? It might be. I don't remember. Um, I mean, it's got the feed your people thing that's okay. I can take or leave that kind of mechanism. Um, but yeah, the developing choices, and it's the kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a Rosenberg strategic game. Yeah, I would need to play more to be able to know which buildings to buy early, because I have a better idea of what's coming. I don't have that grasp on the game, but even the couple of times I've played, it is just super satisfying. I see why it's as popular as it is. So it's Caverna, my number 80.
My number 79, I don't know if you've played, but it's an odd one by the designer Stefan Feld. And when I say Stefan Feld, what do you think of mostly?
Beige. And
Beige.
lots of points, lots of mechanisms, and beige.
Absolutely, yes. And this is one of the least beige and least points salad Stefan Feld's going. In fact, there are no points at all. This is Oracle of Delphi. And this is more, I guess you pick up and deliver your some Herculean Greek figure going around and doing 12 different tasks. And the person to do that fastest wins. But it's about using your movement the best way you can, because you're trying to get to different places faster than everyone else. But you might end up in one place where you've got to fight, I don't know, a sphinx or something, and you don't have the requisite power to do that at that point. And so you've really just wasted a turn, but you're just sailing past that sphinx so you can get to something else. And I don't mind Stefan Feld. I quite like some point salad games, but this just really surprised me. You think, oh, this is a race game, really, and it's not what I expected. I have to say, production-wise, isn't brilliant. To be fair, it's not wooden discs with stickers on all the time. Some of them are wooden squares with stickers on, but so it's not very attractive, but it is a lot of fun, and that's the Oracle of Delphi, my 79.
My number 79, I know you have played before. I haven't grouped all of these together. I've grouped a couple together, and there are different groups we'll see throughout the list. This is Base Pandemic / Iberia.
Okay.
I get Pandemic. I get it. I appreciate it. I don't have any flaws with it. I just don't care about it as much as other people do. And when some of the others come up later, or not necessarily pandemics, but that genre or family of games, it's because they do something more with that system. Now, part of my, it's still great. It's still on the list. It's still good. I know I'm sounding really negative, but it's kind of, compared to the hype, my opinion is probably lower. I think a lot of this will have come down to the fact that I've played mostly at 2. And it is super easy at 2. Super easy. Even throwing in all, is it 6 epidemic cards?
Yeah.
However many is the maximum difficulty.
I think it is.
Even that just feels like normal difficulty at 2.
Yeah.
I do still have the most recent anniversary metal tin edition, because it's just beautiful. And it wasn't as limited edition as I was hoping. So I've just held on to it rather than try and resell. So if it comes up, I'll play it, and it's a product I like owning, as I'm sure you'll mention another time. Its scope in terms of audience is great. It is. It's just I'm not that audience. But
and I think good. That's the main reason it stays in my collection. You're right, it will come up for me later. Iberia is certainly the superior of the 2, in my opinion. I was talking about Spanish history the other day, and the advent of the railways and the difference that makes, and the fact that you have to build railways to be able to get anywhere, and the fact that getting anywhere by boat was much easier at the time, to go round the Iberian Peninsula. There's so many really interesting things in that. That's not in my collection anymore, but Base Pandemic is, because you can always get it out with people. Maybe not so much this year, but generally people go, oh yeah, I get it, and they play it really well. My 78 is Everdell. Everdell is, what's that face?
Well, just both of us taking these highly acclaimed, everybody loves games, and going, yeah, they're good.
Yeah. And let's not knock it. We are in the top 100 games of all time.
Oh yeah,
There's lots of really, really good games. But yeah, for me, it's not top 50 like it is, I know, for a lot of other people. It claimed to be this sort of worker placement / tableau building / kind of thing. Really, it's worker placement and a little bit of resource management. And it works, and it's solid, and it's fine. The best thing about it, though, is it is gorgeous.
Top 3 artists.
Andrew Bosley is a fantastic artist. I know some people have issues with the tree and like it's quite big and it's getting people's way. It's fine. Just put it somewhere useful on the table and get over yourself. But the resources, oh my word. They've got little sticks that are beautifully designed with hexagonal edges so they don't roll. They're made of plastic. You've got little plastic stones that are nice. And then the berries. There are berries with tiny, they look like blueberries. Actually, my 4-year-old wanted to eat them and they're squidgy. Oh my goodness, they're squidgy. And resin that's translucent. It looks incredible. It looks incredible. It plays fine. And it came into our collection. We played it a few times and when we're done. Actually, we're done. But I very happily play it any time. It's very solid, very good. And it looks slightly better than it really is, which is FL 78.
My number 78 is a very different kind of game. This is a game called Roam and Roll. This only came out a couple of months ago, Kickstarter. I think they're releasing it retail. This is kind of the heaviest roll and write you'll ever come across. Well, thus far. It's from one of the heaviest designers I know of, the guy that does like Zolkin and things, really like heavy, crunchy Euros. He's put his mind to a roll and write, which is typically like Yahtzee level or something where you just write down some numbers and, oh, I filled this thing in before you. Nope. No. There's about five different, like clearly different things you're going after in this game. There is a map of Rome just after it's been burnt down, and you are building it up and trying to take control. And the buildings that you can build are variable. They're different each time you play. So the powers and the way they score and the way they let you do other things are different each time. And there are roads to build to kind of check off like milestones and things that you're going off. There are battles you can do, and it's all of this is driven by the largest, most satisfying dice I've ever come across. They're just basic colors, and they need to be big because they've got etched, like they're proper custom dice. Symbols on some of them with 2 or 3 symbols on, so they need to be that big. But I play it solo a lot. I will say it's this high because of the solo mode. It is such a satisfying solo experience. The opponent is so simple and so not unobtrusive. They're definitely an opponent, but I mean in terms of my time and action, what I have to do for them is so quick. I barely need to think about it, but it's a real pressured timer that's happening. It's good at 2. It is, and each board is asymmetric out of the box, and so it's wow that he's taken what is a genre for light casual gaming and gone, nah, let's make a real Euro out of this, and has done it successfully. It's great. Yeah, I think you'd enjoy it.
Wow. Yeah, I've not thought about playing it at all because roll and writes really don't do anything for me.
No,
that
nor me.
Interesting.
I'm not interested in them at all. It's dry wipe, which is always just fun. Yeah, it's a great production. British publisher, so I was happy to support for that alone, really. And Daniel Ottosini, I think, or I get confused. Daniel Ottosini or David Turchi? David Turchi. I can't say any of these names. I apologize. Dave, my mate Dave. Roman Roll 78.
Well, continuing in the theme of tearing down super popular games, and again, not tearing down, this is 77, it's very good. It nearly didn't make my 100, but I really feel like it deserves a place on it. It's the granddaddy of the drafting games, 7 Wonders. Now, I like 7 Wonders. And I quite like drafting, and I like some drafting games more than others. If you don't know, drafting is you have a hand of cards, you pick one, put it in your tableau, you pass it around, and whatever someone else has passed on to you. And you're collecting sets, and each one will score in different ways. It works. It's fine. It's clever. and it has inspired lots of other better drafting games, in my opinion. Because the issue I have with Seven Wonders, and this sounds really bad because I've just put it in my 77th favorite game, you know, it should probably be pretty good, but there's so much combat in terms of how much science you collect, how much military you collect, that you have nothing to do with, because you're fighting someone who's 4 spaces away from you, and really you're only playing the people either side of you. And actually, a little bit like I said just now, a few people have said to me, look, they fixed that in Armada, which is one of the expansions. Again, if the base game doesn't work, I'm not going to buy the expansion. So that all said, Seven Wonders is really, really playable and really compelling because of the simple action and the many choices. And you can, I think this is probably slightly complex for new people, but especially as it's all hidden information, they don't know what someone else has got. So it takes a few plays to get hold of. But the concept is really simple, and the concept is really, it's just rolled out into so many really great games. And I think we have to give Seven Wonders plaudits for that. So it's my number 77. And, you know, I've just realized I've put it as 7-7.
That's why I've sat back. I was so ready. I was so ready to tear into this game, and now I want to tear into you for that.
That's hilarious.
That is horrific.
I didn't notice that.
Oh, it makes me angry.
I
don't like it.
Go.
So what's that? 77. Okay. This one, almost theme alone puts it here. It is a good game anyway. It is a great game anyway. But Last Will has one of the most enjoyable themes I've come across in a while. You are all descendants of a rich uncle or somebody who's died, and the condition on the inheritance is they want you to live it up. They want you to live large. So whoever can get rid of all of their money the quickest is going to inherit all this money, because they want whoever gets it to
live their life. Prodigal son.
It is. Now, mechanically, it makes no difference that you're getting rid of money instead of getting money. Really, there's no difference. But just the theme is played out in these cards. There's a worker placement aspect to it. There's not a programming, but a kind of a time element. So first you kind of choose turn order, which gives you different things. So if you go earlier, you actually get fewer actions, that kind of mechanism. But then what you're doing is playing these most insane cards. Like, I'm going to set up a cruise, take the best chef and my horse. And that's going to cost me however many thousands of dollars.
Do you eat the horse?
Maybe there's an expansion.
You're not going to ride it on that cruise, are you?
But you've got to buy really good property and then just not maintain it, and it gets worthless and more and more worthless. Wow. But at the end of the game, you have to sell all your assets, so you could actually come back up, and that's bad for you. So you've got to time when to get rid of those, so you can just go on a big spending spree. It's just hilarious. The player narrative, not the game narrative. Narrative in the game is good. The arc is fine, but that you say, I'm taking my daughter's piano teacher to the opera, whatever it might be. These ridiculous kind of stories are just funny. It's great fun. It's Last Will. I think it's Vladimir Suchy, but it's a good one, and the production is good enough. It's in that borderline of great value. It's not the most amazing production you've ever seen, but it keeps the price point really nice for it. It's a good one. I'd check it out.
So my number 76. I'll be surprised if you've played. This is a movement game about growing chilies. It's called Scoville.
No.
You come across it?
I know of. I'm surprised it's as high as this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I only played it a few times and I won, on my first try, which always helps, doesn't it? It it's quite, I say it's quite simple. It's not simple. There's lots of thinking going on, but it's one of those games where you just have to move someone. You just move a little dude around the board and you go, well, yeah, I can do that. And you spend some money, and there's a bit of an auction phase. How I think it's on first player and things like that. Just classic sort of how much am I going to stretch myself stuff. The chilies themselves are decent quality. The board is a bit odd. It comes in 4 pieces, which is never good because it always starts to bend up into itself. But there's little holes on the board for each of these chilies, and you can tell their value if you look side on because they get taller. So a clear chili, which is I think the most valuable one, is probably, I don't know, 2 centimeters tall, but the red chili, say, is the base one, probably 0.5 centimeter tall. So even if because otherwise with these sorts of things, you just keep looking back and going, what one's that worth? I don't know what that's worth anymore. And and so it's one of those that's just quite simple, but just quite satisfying and just in a very different theme. And I really enjoyed it. It's Scoville, my 76.
My 76 is a game I know you've played. I prefer San Juan to its parent game, and I don't like it as much as its sister game. San Juan is you know what I mean. Yeah. The sidestep. So San Juan is a card game based on not Puerto Rico. What's it called?
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
And it's an action selection game that does the kind of follow mechanism so well. It introduced it to the card game world. Puerto Rico had kind of introduced it to the gaming world of I'm going to choose this action to do, and everybody gets to do that, but I get it better than you because I chose it. And there's a bonus to it, and it follows some of the same rules. You kind of build just a tableau of cards. It's almost a race to how many, is it 10 or 12 in your tableau? I can't remember. Some of them are production places which give you resources that you can sell to make points. Some of them are like monuments and buildings that give you points at the end, and other ones are just I can't remember what they're called, like civic buildings, which have ongoing effects. When you do this, also do this. And it's just super simple. My favorite twist in this to other games of its type now is the economy. I'm not a huge economically minded person, but every time somebody does a sell action, the economy changes. Now, it's not a pure economic game where the amount sold or what was sold directly affects the value of that thing, but you're going to flip over a new tile that tells you how much each thing's worth. So I go, actually, I don't want to do that action this time because it's not worth it. And I know in that stack, there's a better one. Oh, wait, okay, what else can I do? That's just a lovely little added touch that makes, San Juan just enjoyable little game. It's a comfort game, I think, rather than it's not like, oh, this is amazing. Just somebody pulls it out and I go, yeah, I'm happy to play this. This is good.
It's great. I like it. My 75, again, I don't know if you've played, is a game called Thebes, which is about archaeology.
Is this the bag puller?
Yes, but not your normal, not a bag builder, but a bag puller is right. Yeah, you're going on digs in different parts of, I think, the Middle East, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Greece, I think. And you, as you say, you go bag pulling. You draw tiles out of a bag. Now, there's so much sand in there, but there are also some good things that you can find in there as well, digs. The thing I really like about this game that I think is incredibly clever, and I've not really seen a game do it again, is your currency is time. And you have a track that goes around the board that tells how much time you spent. And if you spend your time in the library doing research, just going and get a book tile or whatever it is, you then will be more successful on your dig, or probably more, because you get more pulls at the bag.
Okay.
You also, when you go on a dig, depending on where it is, it takes X amount of time, X amount of months. I think it's even 12 around the board or something like that. I forget, maybe it's 52. But it tells you how long it takes to go on that dig. Now, there's a bit of a race aspect because the first people to get to the dig is probably the first person, because each area has its own bag, most likely to get, the scarab beetle or whatever they want out of it. But if you spend more time doing your research, you're probably more likely to get something good because you get more draws of the bag. But if someone then spends, I don't know, 10 weeks on an action, you can then spend 2 weeks on something else, and it's your turn again. Because you think about time, you can't just like go, well, you're in 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks. You have to let that person catch up, so that effectively you're paying in a paired time. So then that if they've jumped ahead to 10 weeks time, you can do a 2-week action, another 2 weeks action, and a 3-week action. And actually, if you're on the same spot of them, you get to go again if you were the last person there. And so you can really eke out your time in that way. So, and I just think it's brilliant. I don't think the game's fine. The quality is fine. The bag pulling is kind of fun. Sometimes be a bit over frustrating because there is so much luck to it. It's mitigated by the study aspect. But this time element, I just thought was genius. And I really enjoyed Thebes. It's my number 75.
Cool. My number 75 is my second pandemic family game. This is Forbidden Island. This is my favorite of the Forbidden series. Desert won't show up. I used to really like Desert. I just played it out. It got stale, dry. But Forbidden Island is just still conceptually fascinates me. That bad things aren't bad things yet. That element I really like, that it actually gets submerged and you can go rescue that tile, and that's fine, but it costs you an action. But if you don't and it comes up again, it's gone, and this map just gets smaller and smaller. It's probably the lightest of them. It's the simplest in many ways.
But it's the scariest.
It's the scariest because you see it getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Desert, it's piling up, which again, visually cool, but not the same. It's more, you feel more like giving up, whereas the Island, you're like, oh, we've got to get it done now. So yeah, a great, and it's so inexpensive comparatively to many other games that give me a similar experience. Forbidden Island, great chunky pieces. The roles are suitably different, that I feel like I'm powerful. But you get to do that thing as well. And so it's just a really good package, Forbidden Island.
My 74 was, I think, Spiel des Jahres in 2017, and it is King Domino. This is it's Bruno Catala, isn't it? And you see some of his auction mechanisms that he uses elsewhere. There are 4 domino tiles that you can place a worker on. If you're in 4-player, then you put 1 on each. If you're 3-player, you take 1 away. And if you're 2-player, then you get 2 each. And they will be ordered depending on how good they are. You're creating a kingdom out of dominoes. King Domino, portmanteau. And you'll score points by adjacency. But the genius of the thing is they will go from most points, most valuable at the bottom, to fewest points at the top. But where you put your worker to get that thing tells you your turn order next time. So you can go somewhere with high points, but next time you're going to suffer. Or you can look at the board and say, I don't really want any of these things. What I really want is first place next time. And I mean, it's super simple, and you can play with all sorts of people. You're building a 5x5 grid. I think 2-player, you can do 7x7. You've got a follow up with Queen Domino that adds some complexity. You can then have 4 players mixing the 2 games together and making 7x7 grids. That stuff's all fine, but it's a very simple auction game and tile placement, and just really, really works. My number 74, King Domino.
My number 74 is a small 2-player only game. It's a 2-player trick-taking game called The Fox in the Forest. Charm puts this on the list alone, but then a trick-taking game that works at 2 and actually works, not just, it's fine. It's very simple. There's only 3 suits. I think it's 1 to 11. I can't remember. But every odd-numbered card has a special power, which changes what happens, which is all great. That's all lovely. The key mechanism is the scoring, and this is the best thing. If you win all of the tricks, the game calls you greedy and you score nothing.
That's right.
If you score none of the tricks, you're a genius and you get all the points. It's so clever that you want no tricks, but as soon as you get one, your points shoot right down, and then they climb and climb and climb as you get more and more, and then you shoot off and get nothing. So you're aiming, you're almost gambling with your opponent.
It's so hard.
Or it's 0 to 3 or whatever it is. You're kind of gambling. How can I force them to take what I want them to take all the time whilst they're doing exactly the same thing? Or they're sitting there going, yeah, no, give me all the tricks, because now I'm going to make you take this and now you're screwed. And So that balance, not only of a trick-taking game and winning tricks, but how many do you want? Brilliant twist.
My number 73, we've talked already a little bit about grouping some games together that we think are comparable in their spin-offs or their sequels. I'm going to say one here that I love the original and don't like the sequel, which is actually an expansion, and that's Saboteur. Get Saboteur, play Saboteur, don't get Saboteur 2, don't waste your life. And this is an interesting one because I don't normally care for social deduction games. But what's going on in this is you're all playing gnomes, hunting gold, and there are 3, we'll call them tiles, but really they're just playing card size and material, but they're tiles. 3 tiles at the end of an open space, and one of them has gold in. And then you've got to lay tiles that creates a path to the one of these gold. And if you find it, whoop-de-doo, you're the winner. You can find maps that will help you which one's it actually under. You get some special information that no one else knows. And so you might be able to first and go there. So you're racing against all the other gnomes that are trying to get this gold. And then there is a titular saboteur, or 1 or 2 or 3. And they can just play the same way as everyone else. They just put down a tile, but it bends away from where we were going. Oh, it might just be what they had in their hand. We don't know. Oh, they've blown up a piece of that road. I wonder, why are they doing this? And slowly you start to, and the saboteur's goal is to stop everyone getting to the gold. Now, we have a brother who is something of a saboteur.
Vicious.
Vicious. Absolutely. And it's just really fun. You just don't know who's who, and it doesn't really matter. It's not like a werewolf game where you've got to guess everyone out. You've got one objective: either get the gold or stop everyone else doing it. And that interplay is really fun. So Saboteur, my 73, don't get Saboteur 2. It chucks in a load of wasted rules: change places, change hands, swap hats, use gates, use teams. Oh my goodness, not worth it. Why would you just throw Uno into the mix? Pure simple Saboteur, number 73. Very good.
This is one of those, it's not on my list. It's probably way down, but then I sit and play it and go, I'm having a great time. It does really well. I think kind of my issue that you're saying with social deduction is if I'm the odd one out, I'm panicked. I have to really figure out how to, like the chameleon or something. I have no idea what I'm supposed to, how do I guess this? But the Saboteur is one of those that makes everybody look suspicious because you're limited by the cards in your hand.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm actually going to spend a turn helping you. I'm going to fix your carts that somebody else broke. Why did they break it? Maybe they're the bad guy. Nope, it's because you made a joke at them, so they thought it'd be funny to break your cart. Yeah. So they look suspicious. I'm helping you, but I could have done more because I am the Saboteur, but I look good. But then I don't have anything else, and so I have to play this. You're right, a road that goes off nowhere, and you're like, "Why are you doing that?" It's like I can't do anything else. It's great. It's great fun. Talking of building routes, this is what, the third cooperative game on this section.
Wow.
This is Magic Maze.
Great
fun. This is the lowest former top 10. I think this is the first one we've come across, because it is brilliant. It is a blast. And then you're kind of done. it gives you extra things. There's what, 20 different missions versions of the game that you can play through if you want to. I don't think I ever really got past 5 or 6, just because that's a real just a sweet spot of, no, I tell you what it is. I think every time I pulled this out, I was teaching someone.
Yes.
And you play the first game, which is super simple, super clean. Look, guys, here's one tile. That's all we've got to start with. We've got to search through these tiles and build this maze, this path for all of our characters to find their items to steal theme in a shopping mall. Who cares? And then get back to the exits. Cool. Now, first twist. You can only move it the direction that you control. What do you mean? Okay, look. I have a north in front of me. You have south, you have east, you have west. We all control all of the pieces. Anytime it needs to go north, I'm going to do that. Anytime west, you do that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, wow, okay. And I will generally teach that, because that's pre-first game. If they're gamers, I'll jump straight into the second twist. Hooray. We can't talk when we do this. Wait, what? We've just got to be looking at all of the things all of the time and do it. Okay, cool, ready. Nope, third twist. We're against a timer. Yes, that is the best thing. The only form of communication is this giant red pawn that you're supposed to politely place in front of somebody when they are supposed to be taking an action. No one's placed it politely in their life.
No, it's amazing how
it's you.
It's amazing how vociferous you can be with just a piece of wood.
It is the most expressive inanimate object I've ever come across. So yeah, it's just this frantic 5-10 minutes, because you can flip the timer by going on certain spots, so you can mitigate it, but it's a lot of fun, very frantic, and then you make it harder, and then you make it harder, and then you make it harder. A lot of fun. It's just, after that initial excitement, or sharing that initial excitement with somebody else, it's fine, it's good. There's just other things I want to be doing. But it's so good, and your first 20 plays of this game are going to be so exciting. It's great.
My 72, I'm actually going to let you talk a little bit more about, and there's a good reason for that. It's because it's one of the first games that you really got into when you got into gaming, and I gave it to you as a present. There are many, many versions of it. It's a bit like a collectible card game, but with dice. It is Dice Masters.
Oh, beautiful.
There it is.
Beautiful.
I think, what did I get you? The DC version to kick off?
Yes, DC, and then a couple of boosters of Avengers versus X-Men.
That's right. I think I just found it half price in Waterstones in the January sales. I was like, Deke likes DC. I think he'd quite like games. Well, we'll chuck it together, see if it's a good present. And then I found out you could mix and match with X-Men, and I was like, oh, that's cool to begin with. And it is, and I will let you talk in a minute, but it is like a collectible card game. You're playing cards against one another. You've got a hero versus hero, but then you've got dice and action selection on those dice, and then each person comes with their own dice. Oh, there's lots of fun factor here. But I'll let you talk about the actual game.
It's a trap. It's a trap. I was so pleased to get this gift, very generous gift. All these comic book characters that I enjoy, and going, oh wait, I can mash them together. Cool. Oh wait, it's a randomized booster system. I want all of the characters. How do I get all the characters? I buy all of the boosters and hope. Oh, it's a trap. I grew up collecting Pokemon cards. I older got into Yu-Gi-Oh, and just know the compulsion of a collectible game. I like collecting things, hence all the sets of stuff behind me. And you got me another one that I enjoy. The game is so simple. This is a bag builder that we alluded to earlier, where you start off with normal stuff, but then you use that stuff to buy these character dice to go in. So then later you get to field these dice and attack one another. It's a one-on-one duel system, which I like already. So you're right. It feels like a collectible card game, not just the meta game, but the actual, I'm fighting you and fielding these characters to do that. But then each character could have 4 different cards associated with it, which has a special power on it. So when you roll that face, not only is it doing that face, but also Kingpin gets to do this, or Doc Ock. you have to have attacked him 7 times because each of his arms kind of stops one of them. Brilliant. And it's so weirdly thematic. Not weirdly thematic, but like somehow they've managed to make an abstract thing, rolling dice, to be so thematic. And you can play it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Heroes, Ninja Turtles. You can throw in Yu-Gi-Oh sets or WWE, I think there is even now, whatever. And these all work together. They've balanced it some mad way. I stick to comic books. I love comic books. And it's
worth saying, I'm really not in the collectible card game box. I mean, even something like Keyforge, that it's on my list, but way past the 100 mark. It just doesn't do anything for me. I don't care for the one-on-one duel stuff that you do, and this is part of the reason I knew you'd like it, because you grew up with that Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and I just didn't care, and I enjoyed it. I sat down, I was like, wow. I mean, you get the fun of chucking dice. You have the good theme that's tying in there with DC and Marvel. But it does work. It is really, really neat. And I just think I think it's a marvel, actually. There's no pun intended. It's they've done a really clever job with that of merging dice chucking, characters, one-on-one battles, and someone like you who loves that sort of thing anyway, and someone like me who really doesn't, sits down and plays it really happily. That's my 72 Dice Masters.
So good. My 72 is my drafting game for the list. This is again a 2-player only. It seems to be a thing of mine, and I was looking for one for a while. I enjoy drafting games, the pick and pass type that we're talking about, the 7 Wonders, but a 2-player, bit naff. Comparably, comparably, it's fine. It's just not quite the same experience as hate drafting several people and setting different things up. But then I played Tides of Time, and I picked this up for like a $5. There's also Tides of Madness, which they did in the Cthulhu world, which adds 1 mechanism, and people generally prefer it, but Cthulhu. And this is clever. You get, I think it's 5 cards each. Can't specifically remember, and you draft them as you would normally, back and forth. You keep, you pass, you keep, you pass until you've got them all. But it's a set collection scoring system. Each card has a suit or some crazy massive power and a scoring potential. So score a point for every green and blue you have in your 5. Cool. And so you score, you do that. Then you keep one of those cards forever. You claim it, it's under yours, and then you discard a card forever and then draw 4 new cards.
Okay.
So what cards are in the game or in the round are always slightly different. So it's not the same kind of simple thing, but it's also not completely different and random each time. You have seen that the one that they kept needs this type of card, so I'm going to discard that from the game and I'm going to go after something else. And so it just lets you build, and every game you'll see the same cards, which I know I knocked Coimbra for, but because it's this tight, short battle of wits as much as anything else that uses drafting, which I really enjoy, it's just fascinating. So at the end of the second round, you keep a second card, so your combo and scoring potentials get bigger and bigger, but you're also giving your opponent more and more information to beat you with. So it's just a really nice thing. And again, for like a $5, you cannot go wrong. So good.
My 71 is one that was in my collection for a long time, and then now only have the Christmas version of it in my collection, and that is Love Letter. And I know, did you teach this yesterday?
Yes, in fact, yesterday. You're right.
Yeah. Very, very. And again, I've just said I don't like social deduction. This is the most simple social deduction in the world. You're trying to get a love letter to a princess. There's some sort of theme going on. We've got the Father Christmas version, which is like if you're trying to get your letter to Santa, hence the title. And if you, at the end of the game, have Santa in your hand or the princess, which is number 8, because it's all just number game, you win. But you're more likely to get knocked out, because numbers 1 to 7 all have a special ability that when you play them, you have an opportunity to guess who someone is. And if you get that, they're knocked out, or you get to look at someone else's hand. So in the future, you might be able to guess, or like they get stuck because you have to discard this one if you have this card, and there's 8 cards. I mean, there's 5 of the 1s and 2 of the 2s and 2 of the 3s, but really there's not many cards in it. It's really a micro game. And just plays brilliantly. It's one of those that we played a lot. We don't need the normal version. It's great to pull out at Christmas because you can play. I played it with my 7-year-old niece last year. She's not much into games, but she really, really got it, and she just thought it was lots of fun. Super simple, super fun. Love letter, or in my case, letters to Santa 71.
My number 71, last of the list. It's the first time you'll be hearing me talk about this series. You've heard Rick talk about it already. This is the Century trilogy of games. This is Century: A New World for me. The least of the 3, but by no means bad. This is a great game. It's worker placement, which holds things down for me because I'm a little tired of it. But it's a good twist on worker placement. It's I don't know it's not cumulative. I can't remember what the word is. So like if you play 1 worker, I can go there, but only if I play 2 workers.
Yes.
And then you could go
escalating.
there. Yes, thank you. And then you could play 3 workers. And whenever you take that spot, you bump the workers back. Worker bumping is a mechanism I really like in worker placement games. So it's not just I'm stuck. Actually, do I want to bump you? Because yes, I need that spot, but now I've allowed you to take more actions before wasting a turn resting and getting everything back. The other thing that holds it down, you mentioned with Scoville, is the board is made up of 4 bits of board.
Now they do it.
This does it for a couple of reasons. Firstly, there are multiple sides, so the game setup can be a bit variable. But because if you watched last time, you'll have heard Rick talk about the fact that the designer has made rules for the games to be played together. There are versions of one corner, say, that only work with one of the combinations.
Okay.
So I get why they've done it, but because they're trying to keep to a production level, the cardboard is so thin and it just moves around a little bit. It's a shame given how good the game is. It is a good game. How good the series is, that some of those things just hold it back for me. I was going to say I wouldn't recommend it on its own. I would. If you like worker placement games, it's a good one. It really is. But I think it will suffer because it belongs as part of that trilogy so intrinsically. The other 2 I would recommend individually, depending on what style of game you like. That one is good, but not good enough as a singular item. It's a brilliant part of the trilogy. That's Century: A New World. We'll hear about the others another time. That's it for this time. We'll be back again soon with the next installment of the 2 Loose. I'm really not a fan of that name. Top 100. At what point are you excited? Like, I think top 50 for me are all just standout games.
Yeah, possibly 50, possibly 40. They're all good. They're all good.
Yeah.
They're all good.
There's a definite shift at around 20 for me of I love these no matter what you say. I recognize some things might be better, but I love these games.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
So stay tuned when we do that stuff. You can subscribe to the channel if you don't already and hit the bell icon so you stay updated when those videos come out. In the meantime, do look me up on social media. Just search Win Some Lose Some on usual platforms. You'll find us. I'll let you do your own name this time. I've been Dieter.
I'm Rick.
Thank you. You've been watching Win Some Lose Some. I'll see you again. Bye.